God calls us to awaken him, how will he find us when he comes?
Awake and ready.
And when he asks us to serve more perfectly in him, how will we find us?
Awake and ready.
Please pray with me. Divine Mother,
Heavenly
Father, friend, beloved God, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Nahiri Mahashaya, Swami Shri Yukteswar, beloved Guru, Paramhansa Yogananda, saints of all religions, we lovingly and humbly bow before you all. Infuse our hearts and minds with your light. Fill our minds with thy wisdom today. Fill our hearts with thy love. And fill our souls with thy ever new joy. Give your joy to us, that we may share that light. All whom we meet today. All peace. Amen. Be seated.
Behold all the wonders God's grace can bestow. If you but reclaim what you've given, why not ask of God any wonder you place? Worship me to satisfy all human dominion now over all this noble earth. All I ask of you is worship. Get thee behind me, Jesus declared. Satan, know you not our Father offers love in your stead. His gift of love to all is my only food. He is all I own. What does man need but him?
Then to darkness lifted, love destroyed Satan.
continuing to meditate, let's listen to these words from Affirmations for Self-Healing. Today's topic, humility. Humility is not self-deprecation, it is self-forgetfulness. It is knowing that God alone is the doer. It is the realization that nothing in this shadow world of appearances is all that important, except as it draws us closer to the Lord. Never tell yourself that you are sinful or weak or incompetent or lazy, except as such the statement may help you to surrender joyfully to God's power. Then live by that power, never wear the mask of false humility. Humility is self-acceptance and self-honesty. You have a right to all power if you seek it in infinity, and if you never hold the thought that it resides in your little self. And now let's affirm together, first in a loud voice capturing the conscious mind, and then progressively softer, and then in a whisper and silently. I live by thy power, Lord.
I live by thy power, Lord.
What I have is ever thine.
What I have is ever thine.
Ever thine.
Ever thine.
I live by thy power, Lord.
I live by thy power, Lord.
What I have is ever thine.
What I have is ever thine.
Ever thine.
Ever thine.
Now in a normal speaking voice. I live by thy power, Lord.
I live by thy power, Lord.
What I have is ever thine.
What I have is ever thine.
Ever thine.
Ever thine.
In a whisper. I live by thy power, Lord. What I have is ever thine. Ever thine. Silently. I live by thy power, Lord. What I have is ever thine. Ever thine. And let's pray together silently. Thou art the doer, Lord, not I. Express thy perfection through me as I strive ever eagerly to live in thy light. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to Sunday service. My name is Michael. This is my friend and brother, Paul. We're going to read the weekly reading from Grace of the One Life, weekly commentaries on the Bible and Bhagavad Gita by J. Ronald Waters, Swami Ananda. Today's topic is how high should we aspire? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. The passage this week is from the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 5. I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. The easiest explanation for these words is that they were spoken in criticism of the scribes and Pharisees, particularly since Jesus was often verbally attacked by them and stood up to them fearlessly. However, it wouldn't have been much of a challenge to the disciples who aspired to spiritual perfection to tell them, don't be like those who lack any such aspiration. Jesus in fact says only a few verses later, be ye therefore perfect as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. What Jesus was referring to here then was the self-righteousness of the priests. Don't seek perfection, he was saying to the disciples, in the image you project toward others. Don't be satisfied with a goodness born merely of ego definitions. The highest virtue is to transcend the very thought of personal virtue in the realization of God alone as the doer. Before this realization, even the thought, I am kind or I am truthful, is self-limiting. As it says in the Bhagavad Gita, the 7th chapter, yet hard the wise Mahatma is to find, that man who says, all is Vasudev. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
an honor to be with all these great souls and to be part of the lineage of these gurus. And I want to do it's a brief reading today from Whispers from Eternity from Paramahansa Yogananda. It's called Cosmic Salutation, and it's inspired by the Bhagavad Gita, the Hindu Bible. O Spirit, I bow to thee in front of me, behind me, on the left and on the right. I bow to thee above and beneath. I bow to thee all around me. I bow to thee within and without. I bow to thee everywhere, for thou art everywhere. And that's when I was newer on the path. That was, for whatever reason, one of the readings that got me. It was just so direct. And years ago, I was it was a different spiritual venue, but they were giving out dice. Okay, so you have dice, and I've never been a big gambler or anything like that. I have terrible luck gambling, but which is probably just as well. I'm a terrible liar too, and gambler. So it was not so fun when I was younger, but now I'm kind of glad about it. And but anyway, the dice. Okay, right. But the dice is like that game, right? We even have in the Bhagavad Gita about the role of the dice and getting kind of addicted to like, when am I going to get that win? And well, this dice, they just says on each side, God, 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 God. So you roll and you get God. Oh, okay. God. Oh, okay. Well, fascinating that the readings today. God is the doer, and then the affirmation is humility, and then humility. Oh, okay, God, I guess what is you're trying to tell me? Okay, that's good to remember that because it reads easy, but it's not always. It's a process, and a dear friend Turiya, at the time he was Jeff, and he started what's called Ahimsa Yoga in the South Bay, Ananda, and became Ananda Yoga Center. I remember he had said that everything in our path is directional. So if we're just moving in that direction, and there's always little forks in the roads, but everything is, and I was reflecting, how could I not, because of this topic, how much it's just, where do I want to take my focus today, and this moment, and this in each little time. Now I thought I'd mention a little bit. It's a lofty thing, but it's about a little-known movie called Star Wars. Some of you may have heard of. Okay, and in this, you see, I wasn't really raised religious. I was raised. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening, but I was kind of raised by burned out people from religion, and who didn't like sort of the latter-day Pharisees and scribes kind of approach. Not latter-day like the church, but incarnated later. That sort of, I mean, my mom's attitude was always Jesus, because she was raised Catholic, was, Jesus was fantastic. He was a beautiful guy. It's just all the other people that messed it up. In fact, there's a t-shirt, I never bought it because I wasn't quite that snarky, but it said on the shirt, there's two of them. One, it said, Jesus is coming, look busy. And the other one is, Jesus, protect me from your followers. And that was sort of, that's kind of what I was raised on. Okay, that was about the extent of my religious and spiritual upbringing. Well, the divine is there. It's always there, no matter what, if we're open. And it even will come through like a little tiny film like Star Wars. And so we have this thing called the Force in Star Wars, this energy. And we learn, in yoga, we learn the ways of the prana, but they learn how to use the ways of channeling this energy. I didn't know anything about that. I was not raised. But there was a character that I never really related too much to younger, but when over time in my practice, since I've become a devotee and all, I weirdly relate to at times, and his name is Han Solo. And the name, and this is sort of a confession as much as a share. The last name is the hit, Solo. I'm going solo, okay? But the beautiful thing about Solo is that we think that the mind is just this, I've got this going on. I got to pay the rent. I've got to get across the 405 to do this and that. I've got this and that. And you know, he's got his beat up Millennium Falcon he's got to rent out because he's got these bounty hunters after him. And you know, he's doing the scramble just like a lot of us in LA are doing in a sense. Sometimes I feel like I'm in an intergalactic planet on the city, I have to be honest, because I do a lot of driving. But Solo, Han, he thinks he's like the self-protecting ego. Like, I thank you, princess, but I got to take care of myself. Old man, I don't need to hear about that hocus pocus about the Force. I just need to get paid, thank you. And then I'm out of here, okay? I don't need to save the galaxy. Well, but what happens? Solo meets Obi-Wan and Luke, and he gets mixed up in something. And what happens? It turns out Solo, there's something else going on there behind. Solo thinks one thing, but what does end up happening? Sorry if you haven't seen it, but it's been like 40 years since it came out. So Solo is actually the one that helps save the day, you know, because Luke, he's the one that finally, I think he spins Darth out, Vader, and then because there's that fork in the road. At first he says, I'm out of here. Sorry, Luke. May the Force be with you. But then, what do you know? Solo comes in. He takes that fork in the road. It's like Solo is much more noble than he even thinks he is. And but Solo had the good karma, you could say, the yoga of Star Wars, to meet Obi-Wan. And even Luke, who wants to be, there's that whole scene, you know, the music, na, 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 and he's on the desert, and he's looking out, and he sees the 2 or 3 moons, I believe, or suns setting, and he's saying, there's got to be more than this. It's like Dorothy in Kansas, which is, there's got to be something over the rainbow. There's got to, I know there's more. I would wager everybody in this room, and maybe even listening, has had that moment, like, there's got to be more over that rainbow. There just has to be more. Or there's got to be more than this desert planet. But Luke's thing is, I want to be a fighter. I think he wants to be a fighter, he wants to fly. Keishaba would know it better than anyone. He wants to fly. He's not thinking about being a mystic warrior, or let alone saving the galaxy. He goes, and who does he stumble across? This old man, and later a little green elf. And he's looking, I'm looking for the answer. I'm looking for the one, excuse me. And Yoda goes, and it's like, no, you see, that's the thing. You know, the whispers from eternity. One of our dear souls, I've been listening a lot to her talks, Asha, amazing soul. It's like a fountain of wisdom and love. And she said, you know, this practice, this art, the path of Kriya Yoga, of the gurus, is easily overlooked or underrated because it's not loud. It's a whisper. It can be a whisper. And the superconscious guidance, just like Yoda sending the superconscious guidance, it's easily overlooked if we don't have the sensitivity or the openness. And yet, isn't it true that things seem, when you look, settle down, and really look at, I'm really not in charge of this thing. It's actually scary, and it's also wonderful at the same time, because it's like, it's basically, in a sense, like, I know really almost nothing. and that's actually okay. You know, in traditional Yogananda-ji, who I consider my guru, said, you know, the love is the childlike love. It's just the childlike love. And even the name of a devotee, I believe a guru is chela, which means a child. They're just taking their love. And when Yogananda-ji left his body, they said, we lost our mother. We've lost our mother. And it's that divine love. It's that unconditional love. And it's the thing we all, I think, feel when we know it, we can't fake it. We know it when we feel it. And when I just, you know, as I was settling down, once I'm going to get out of the way and I'll be frank, a lot of the times the superconscious is getting a busy signal from here because I'm going and I'm reminded, oh yeah, this is not it in the head. But when I look at, there's times and settle to see that there has been some kind of master storyteller taking my life, that I'm some kind of character in it. I reflect on, I don't think it's any accident I came to Los Angeles to become rich and famous. Didn't happen, but that's okay. But I don't think it's any accident I came where this Yogananda Ji and these souls are. There was talk, students were saying, well, you're a New York guy, you're gonna go to New York. I said, I don't feel New York. I feel like, I need to go to LA. Didn't work out the way I wanted, but it worked out wonderfully in a different way. I could never have imagined. I don't think it was any accident that I went to the Lake Shrine, not even knowing about Yogananda, but just knowing I felt better when I left there than when I got there. And I would walk around, and when my mind was going overactive, which it does less, but sometimes still does, I could sit. And I remember seeing, though, that, whoa, if I can correctly get it, everything else can wait in life, but only our pursuit of God, our connection with God cannot wait. Everything else can wait. And that was like, boom. And then I saw the pictures, and I remember it was with my dad at the time. He was in the body, and we went, and I went in, there's like a little museum, and I saw the pictures, and I said, wait, is that a woman, a man? Oh, it's a man, okay. But one thing I did know, I didn't know he was my guru, but I did know this being there was nothing that wasn't congruent about it, this being. This being, the sincerity and the love was, everything was like soft and open, not weak, but there was like this, I can't describe it, but I don't need to. And I knew that. I don't think it's any accident. There was some moments when I remember maybe 13 years ago, 14, I was in the job, getting paid well, doing some creative work in the entertainment. I'd been there for a long time. I was doing yoga classes. I was doing this and that at the gym. But I knew something was profoundly off or missing. Bless you. And I knew something was profoundly, and I was a lot like Luke or Dorothy in the desert, just looking out, like, there's gotta be something more. I had a spiritual practice. I knew there had to be more. And those little forks in the roads. Oh, a free expo at the LA Convention Center. Oh, this was back in the day when they'd have more like catalogs. What is this expanding light thing? Oh, actually I think Narayan and Ram, there's a picture of them in the catalog. Who would have known? They're here now. And maybe Peter too, I don't know. And really, I mean, there it was like, Willie was my husband at the time, and Willie, look at this catalog. We got to go here. Look how happy these people are. And it felt genuine. I could feel the vibrations. Oh, Sri Ananda, direct disciple. Now I knew some about Yogananda. And wow, there was that little fork in the road. I don't think there was any accident. I was at that expo, and Ram and Gyandev and Turiya had left some catalogs there. And then I went. And just things before then, in the bedroom, I had a picture of Hanuman, barely knew who he was, Shiva, and Durga. And now I do classes about them, a workshop. Was that planned? Absolutely not. I think it's just when we feel that little pull, that little whisper, and when we feel inside, that's to me but it's really when Jesus is saying, we gotta love beyond for the approval of others. It's going to be perfect as God is perfect. Now, I'll be candid with you. When I first said that, I said, well, I failed that one. I didn't get past that test. But going inside, what is God? What was Yogananda Ji's message. What was it when I'd see Korean Swami Kriyananda at the festivals, like at the Ananda, like we have our, like his birthday and stuff, and spiritual renewal week. And when I saw him, like he was out way further down, but he made eye contact with me. I don't think I officially met, and he gave like the kindest smile that is indescribable. And anyone who met him knows what I'm talking about. That it was melted my heart, and it was like he knew me my whole life. But it was so kind and so present that it was the love, the kindness. That's what he said was the main hallmark of this whole path, is kindness. And the kindness, is that being nice? I don't think so, just being nice. It's kindness is caring, it's loving energy. That's what I felt with my classes when I went to the Expanding Light. That's what I felt again and again. It wasn't like one or two people, that's what I felt. So it's loving. I think the perfect is perfect, I have to translate as the qualities of God, which is love, joy, and infinite compassion. And that's the answer, is really to tune in. And but what was missing before that? Well, there's a couple things we have here going. One is we have this thing called the techniques. We have like the Kriya, the meditation. We have the stuff, because it's one thing to think, oh gosh, I'd love to be like Buddha or Yogananda, but how in the world can I love God? Yogananda would say, love God. I used to say, what? I cannot, it's like a conundrum. How do I love something I can't touch, see, feel? Well, guess what? In the meditation, we actually contact directly that vibration of love of God. We open our heart with devotion, just a little bit of devotion. We just open, expand it up, and then we can feel that divine presence. Then we feel it's in us. It's not out there even as much, it's just also in us. It's like the reading. But then we also have, for those of us, and even if you're not a devotee, it's okay. My teacher Gyandev said, you don't have to be a devotee. Just a true master will send help no matter what, if you're open. If you're open. I've felt the energy rise up through the spine of the Guru. And not all the time, but when I'm open, when I can release, there are sometimes it feels like I go out of the field, and it's just I'm being guided in a way that I'm not worrying. It's just I'm being carried, and it's like the most beautiful feeling on earth. And then there's that part though that is, so that connection, that whenever it gets stressed or whatever, I can feel the face in his loving, the last smile looking at me. And then the other is with others. This is they say like in the Haunted Mansion, Disneyland, the chilling challenge, is give that love to all. And so Yogananda would say, Master Sri Keshwar, I love God, but it's the people that are a little more challenging at times. And he said, that's not good enough. He said to Yoga, go back, your son, meditate, pray more, go and love God. Finally, Yogananda ji, he came back and he said, Sri Keshwar said, how are you doing, son? And he said, how could I not love them? That we can't conquer the divine heart if we don't conquer the human heart. And it's about the love that it changes in us. In us, it transforms us. And when someone's loving, there's a saying, the best sermon is a good example, then someone can feel that, or that we share that. It can be a walk, it can be a smile. It doesn't have to even be anything one says. And certainly a prayer. And so it's being willing in those areas, and I'll be candid, I have it's challenging, and it's a process, and temper and things come up, get temperamental, and but always coming back to that love, that loving embrace, that it's okay, that I love you. I'll wrap it up. And I was listening to a lady that had a near-death experience. I know there's many, and what she came was that we really are love. And it's really, and the only, almost pretty much everything else is rust. And in a religion, quote unquote, is only, is what it's like Jesus, you know, only valuable in that it helps our higher self to reach God and to love, to be loving. That's all that matters. And that it's just, and if that can take us there, then that's the point. And then so that, and then it's like, well, that's wonderful. And coming back here, oh, well, we have this loving beings that come, that can hold the hand and lift us up. I'll wrap up that I don't think it was any accident that all of this, because I can see a little more now at times, not all the time, but a clarity, that when I was asking Guruji, Yogananda, are you my guru? I mean, because I wasn't raised on a guru. I was like, sorry. I had authority figure issues. I didn't understand what a guru really was, honestly. But I was praying and asking for guidance, and you know, like many of us do. And I think that's the most important thing, honestly, is saying, I don't know. I'm willing to, but open the heart, calm, and stay in calmness, and just keep open. Well, some of you know the story, but we were in West Hollywood at the time, and one day I was walking down the street. I taught a class, I think, in the South Bay, a yoga class, and on Hayworth Street, near Santa Monica Boulevard, there's a painting, yay big, someone had left, right on the sidewalk by the gutter, like the side by of Yogananda. And yeah, and it was like a really, we still have it, it's a really rendered painting, oil painting, and it's unmistakable. And I said, wow, that's wild, you know, that's a synchronicity. Yeah, wow, master, or I'd say, yeah, master, wow, Yogananda, that's amazing. But you know what, I'm pretty thick at times, so I thought, I don't know, I'm just gonna let that ride. You know, maybe that's my subconscious magnetizing stuff. Okay, so but I said, this is lovely. And then I did errands, ran out, you know, did stuff. Came back home in the evening, and we're at a garage underneath in a parking spot. What happens in the parking spot? The painting's right in front of me, looking at me. And my husband, Willie, had also seen the painting, had taken the painting and put it in the garage, but no less right in front of my car. So I don't have an explanation. I just know that there's a lot I don't know, and that's a good place to be, but to trust the heart. And truthfully though, when I met Swami Kriyananda, and I saw him, the light, I've never seen such a childlike, joyful being in my entire life, who had so much, who was older, and yet had so much radiant, childlike exuberance and love that way. I knew this was my guru because I could see if this is how it emanates from this guy, this is real. This isn't something made up in a book. So I think that's enough.
Yeah.